Hey everybody, welcome to Tutor Me Alice, and today we are looking at our series Life Sciences Made Easy, looking at our blood circulatory system, and this is going to help our grade 10 learners pass that life sciences exam. So why is our circulatory system so important? Especially with larger organisms, it's going to help transport substances such as food and oxygen to all our body cells. Now, our body cells are really important because obviously they're doing so much job and work, and as a result, they need food and oxygen. At the same time, these body cells are producing carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste, which need to be removed from those cells and transported away from them and go to an excretory organ. So our circulatory system transports these substances via our blood. And we're going to delve into how important this actually is. Now, with regard to blood systems, there are two blood systems. We have an open blood system and a closed blood system. With an open blood system, blood is not confined to blood vessels only. So at some stage, blood leaves the blood vessels and enter a cavity. With closed blood system, blood is always confined to blood vessels. So blood never leaves the blood vessels at all. With regard to our open blood system, arthropods and mollusks are just some examples that have an open circulatory system. So in this system, blood, specifically the terminology is hemolymph, is not confined to blood vessels only. They at some stage enter a blood-filled space or cavity called the hemocele. And in this cavity, we have organs that are present in it. And when the blood goes in, these organs become submerged. That means the blood surrounds these organs completely. And then it gives the opportunity for these organs to get the oxygen and food from the blood, which diffuses into it, and the carbon dioxide and the waste that they produce diffuses out of the organs. So a simple diagram to just show us. Here's our heart. Blood is being pumped into our blood vessels in two directions. It enters the hemocele, and here it says body cell, but it could be an organ as well. But it enters this cavity, and the organ or the cells become submerged in the blood. That is the key part. It leaves a blood vessel and enters a cavity. Within closed blood system, our blood is always confined to a blood vessel. So all vertebrates, which includes us, have a closed circulatory system. We have these specific vessels that carry blood. So we have our arteries, which are large vessels and carry blood away from the heart. We have these same arteries that are going to branch into much smaller structures called arterioles, because remember, it has to reach every tiny cell of our body. So it has to become smaller and smaller. These arterioles will flow into the smallest vessels called capillaries. And our substances at this site, our substances are going to enter and leave the blood at the capillary network by the process of diffusion. Once that happens, our capillaries are going to flow into smaller veins called venules. And eventually these venules all join to form our larger veins, and they are going to bring the blood back towards the heart. So if we look at this diagram here, simple diagram, you can see there's the heart. Blood is always confined to a vessel, and you can see the direction of the blood is always moving in one direction. So there's no blood moving in this direction and in this direction. It's going in one direction, going to our blood capillaries, coming back to the heart. So in essence, this would be our arteries, our capillaries, and our veins. So we have a double circulatory system, and what exactly is it? This blood is pumped from the heart along two circuits. So the first circuit we have is the pulmonary circuit. Now, the word pulmonary means lungs. So what this means is that blood is being pumped from the heart to the lungs. Now, why is blood being pumped to the lungs? It's being pumped to the lungs because it needs to get oxygen. So deoxygenated blood is going to move from the heart to the lungs and it's going to return to the heart as oxygenated blood. The second circuit we have is the systemic circuit. The systemic circuit is basically this blood needs to travel to the entire body because it needs to give the body oxygen. So oxygenated blood is pumped throughout the body and returns as deoxygenated blood. Here you can see how a heart, blood is going towards the lungs. So this is my pulmonary circuit and coming back towards the heart. And the blood is going from our heart to the body, which is the systemic circuit, and returning to the heart. All blood that leaves the heart has to travel via the artery, and all blood that is returning to the heart will travel via a vein. So these are just some of with grade 10 life sciences, these are just some of the organs that we look at. So blood that is going from the heart to the lungs. Remember, our arteries are carrying blood away from the heart. So if it's going from the heart to the lungs, our lungs have the pulmonary, or we refer to it as pulmonary. So if it's going from the heart to the lungs, an artery is going to carry that blood. So it's going to be pulmonary artery. It's going to return via the pulmonary vein. The major artery that takes blood out of the heart is the aorta, and this one is going to now branch to all the different organs. If it's going to the digestive system, it is the meristematic arteries. If it's going to the kidneys, it's the renal artery. When over here it's not indicated, but if it's going to the liver, it's the hepatic artery. When it's returning, it's going to return from the liver as the hepatic vein, from the lungs, pulmonary vein, from the kidneys, renal vein. And here it's a little bit different, and in grade 11 you're going to learn this more in detail, but there is a vein that carries blood between the digestive system, or the intestine specifically, to the liver, because our liver filters the blood that has just absorbed all of the food and nutrients that we've consumed, and that is called the hepatic portal vein. So exam tips for you. Arteries carry blood away from the heart. Now, if you look at it, I highlighted the word or the letter A in the artery, because artery carries blood away from the heart. That's how you're going to remember it. If arteries are going to carry blood away from the heart, veins are going to carry blood towards the heart. So they're going to do the opposite. Location tells us type of blood. Now, what that means is where the blood is going to is going to tell me what type of blood it actually is. So if the blood is going to the lungs, it's going to be deoxygenated blood, because what in the lungs, it's getting rid of carbon dioxide and getting oxygen. If the blood is going to the liver, it's going to be oxygenated, because while the liver requires oxygen so that it can perform its function. So location tells us type of blood. Now let's look at an application question. I usually try and get these questions from past year papers, from NSC exams, or provincial papers, or stuff from the department, because it's sort of aligning with them, as well as I put my own stuff in, and I'm going to show you all how to actually answer. But the first thing that we do is we orientate ourselves. We figure out where all the arrows are, and if the arrows are going towards the heart, we know that it's going to be a vein. And if the arrows are going away from the heart, it's going to be an artery. I'm going to do the structure of the heart in detail in my next lesson, but first question is define. When they use the word define, they just want to want you to give a definition. So what define double circulation? It just means that the blood is being pumped through two circuits or two pathways. Name the two systems: the pulmonary circuit and the systemic. Label each of the different parts that we have. So if my blood is coming from the head and the arms and it's going towards the heart, it's going to be my superior vena cava, as again, detail in the next lesson. Coming from below, it's the inferior vena cava. Coming from my liver, so C is going to be the hepatic vein. D is the vein in between my digestive system and the liver, so it's the hepatic portal vein. Coming from my kidneys is the renal vein. Here at F, it's blood going from my lungs towards my heart. So it is the pulmonary vein. G is the pulmonary artery. It's going away from the heart towards the lungs. H is the aorta. I, hepatic artery. J, meristematic artery. And K, the renal arteries. So remember, once again, arteries carry blood away from the heart. Veins carry blood towards the heart. Now, the next two questions speaks about describe the circulation of blood in the pulmonary circuit and the systemic circuit. Now, when they use the word describe, we've got to give in detail where it's going, what type of blood, what's happening. So I'm going to give you the memo answer for this. I'm going to give you the memo answer for this. So if we look at the pulmonary circulation, and we're going to see terminology here that I haven't discussed as yet, but as I said in my next lesson, which is going to be heart structure, I'm going to go over everything in detail. So I'm just going to go over the basics of what's going on. So remember, with the pulmonary circuit, the blood is going to the lungs to get oxygen. So what type of blood is going to go? It's going to be deoxygenated blood, leaves the heart, enters the pulmonary artery, and goes towards the lungs. And it's going to return as oxygenated blood, and it's going to enter the pulmonary vein to return to the heart. With the systemic circuit, the body needs to get oxygen. So oxygenated blood is going to leave the heart, it's going to enter the aorta, and then it's going to go to all the different organs in our body. And then in there, obviously, it's going to get the oxygen and it's going to become deoxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood is going to return to the heart via the different veins, the hepatic portal vein, the hepatic vein, the renal vein. All those veins, eventually it's going to form the inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. They're going to all join to form those. And then that will empty the deoxygenated blood into the heart so that it can then be pumped to go back into the lungs to get oxygen. Now, I'm hoping that some of the tips that I gave y'all is going to help y'all. Remember the key things. Arteries carry blood away from the heart. Veins carry blood towards the heart. And location is going to tell us the type of blood. If you always keep that 3-step rule in your mind, you will never forget the basis of blood circulation. So until next time, guys, stay curious and keep learning.